Are we live?
We're good.
Oh,
Hey,
alrighty.
yo, what's up? What's up?
Welcome to your Everyday Rich podcast. We're your host. I'm Jen.
And I'm Jason. Welcome back to the show. And today we are speaking about something that we actually, it's funny. Like we've been thinking about it for a while, and it's about paying off our mortgage. And if we kind of bring you back on a story where this is kind of almost like this is basically like a baby boomer dream, right? The whole story that we're sold as millennials from our parents, right?
Pay off your mortgage as quickly as possible.
Right. Or the idea of paying off your mortgage is a big milestone in your life, right? And it's interesting because I've never saw our parents talk about this or celebrate it or even mention that they're paid off their mortgage.
Do you know when I knew my parents paid off the mortgage? So back in the day when I was living at home, on my fridge, we had a calendar. And my parents always put the due dates on the calendar. It would say like Enbridge, $67, whatever. And then all your bills that you need to pay, right? Like by the due date, and they'd have it on the calendar. And I would see like mortgage, blah, 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 blah. And at some point, I don't remember what time it was, but at some point, like there was no more mortgage. It was just like, the regular utility bills.
Oh.
That's when I knew.
So you're still at home?
Yeah.
University or?
Probably. I don't remember.
Interesting.
I don't know. I don't remember when it stopped, but
there's probably one of those free calendars at like TD Bank or the Chinese
For
supermarket.
sure. Yep, for sure.
The Chinese calendar.
With we had it in our fridge.
The koi or the fish or the dragon.
No, I don't think it was that type of calendar.
Oh, you know what I'm talking about, right?
No, it's the one. I don't know what it was. Probably like a milk calendar or something. I don't know.
Milk.
Yeah, but it wasn't the Asian one, the red one with the Chinese. No, it wasn't that one. We didn't have one of those at home. Anyways, that's how I knew.
I had no idea. I have no idea. Like I just know that my parents paid it off because I think you kind of figure out that they could pay off their mortgage, considering their flex. I mean, they seem more free after, in a sense where it was just. I mean, it's not like their lifestyle changed considerably, but you just kind of tell. They never mentioned anything about it, but I can just get a feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of calendars, so the thing is, we were hesitant to talk and share about this, and even like essentially, when we were thinking about this and sharing our journey, like the whole idea was to try to share as many of our personal journeys and the journeys of other people that are going through similar life circumstances as millennials, right? Especially with immigrant roots, and then so if we kind of just paint a picture. You're talking about the calendar. So about a year ago when this is going to be released, this episode, right? We were heading to a trip to Jamaica with a few of our friends. And, prior to that, we set up kind of the last payments and knowing that we're like, holy crap, we're actually approaching our final payments. And then while we're on the trip, got a notification. We set kind of almost like a celebratory milestone. Remember? An invite in our calendar said, last payment ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I screenshot this. I'll probably post this when we share it. But it's just kind of crazy how we put it on there. But we were in Jamaica and it came up and we're just like, oh, awesome. Right.
We just paid our last payment on our mortgage.
It's like, oh shit. And the thing is when you come reach a significant milestone in your life like that, you would think it would be like super monumental and joyous and filled with like these feelings of celebration or pride even. But I didn't feel that. It's weird. I felt the opposite. I felt not pride. Wasn't proud of doing it. The idea that I felt almost like it was this little bit of I felt like I couldn't share the story with people. It would make it feel like we were gloating almost.
Like showing off.
Yeah, showing off, because I don't know what other one's situation is, right?
Yeah.
And my statistics probably show that most people don't pay off their mortgage till
25
years,
years.
25 years, right? Or well into their like 50s or even 60s prior to them kind of retiring, so called.
Yeah.
So, who are we to think, in terms of obviously what we've been able to do with our investments and how we've structured our payments that, hey, guess what? We paid off our mortgage. I don't know why I felt like that. I don't know if you felt the same.
Well, I think it just comes from, our roots from not sharing financial things with other people,
Yeah.
right? If you get a raise, how much money you make, mortgages, how much is my mortgage, how much left of a mortgage, all that stuff is not really open information that we share with people like outside of your immediate family.
Even into your immediate family, probably a lot of people don't even share things about money. That's the thing.
Well, intermediate, I mean like your wife, your partner,
Yeah.
your husband, whatever.
No, that's what I'm saying. Even sometimes you don't share that kind of money stuff. It's true.
Okay, we're specifically talking about the mortgage. Like we
Yeah.
don't share, like that stays within
Yeah.
the couple.
Yeah. And, as we kind of thought about this and we're thinking about creating this episode, I was reflecting back and was just saying, man, we should have been really proud. We should have not just like,
I'm not saying we weren't proud. I
no,
think
but
we
I'm
were
just
happy
saying
about
we
it.
should
But
have been more open. Just like on the trip, we could have been like, guess what, guys? We paid off our mortgage.
yeah.
Right. Just in the sense of like, you know, letting just kind of nonchalant and then but like celebrate because we were on vacation. It was almost like, why wouldn't we? And the people we were with, I'm sure the thing is, we always create these things in our head that we think someone's gonna talk negatively about you,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just these own little weird fears that you have in your head.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm sure if that person hears it now, they probably would be like, "Yo, that's fucking awesome."
Mm-hmm.
Because me personally, if someone told me they paid off their mortgage, I would be like, "Yo,
That's amazing.
that's amazing. Let's go celebrate."
Yeah.
Right? Because not too often you get to do it so early.
Yeah.
So, um,
So
and
what do you think it's done for us? Like how what's your perspective now after a year of having no mortgage payments?
well, I mean, geez, you got extra funds left over now.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's done a few things, but I think long story short, right? We won't get into the debate of like whether it's right to pay off your mortgage or just continue paying your mortgage with and other opportunities, investment opportunities. We'll cover that another time. But what it's done is that it's given us more flexibility, right? I think the biggest thing is this peace quotient. This idea of being able to sleep at night, knowing that you don't have to owe another dollar back to the bank. First and foremost, that is the ultimate thing that it's done. It's allowed a lot more mental capacity now that you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah. Like something were to happen, if one of us were
Mhm.
to lose our current salary, it was our largest expense,
Yeah. Oh, for
right?
sure.
So having that not there on that cell anymore makes a huge difference from a stress reliever point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. Like being the whole sleep at night factor, the idea that the psychological benefits that come with paying off your mortgage, in my opinion, far outweigh any spreadsheet return on investment calculation.
Yeah, for
Because
sure.
a lot of it's like, listen, when we
Yeah.
were talking about investments and stuff, we're always debating whether this investment is better than that investment. It's that percentage is better than that percentage, and
Yep.
people argue about percentages, but they don't take into consider the psychological impacts of
Yep.
money.
Yep.
So I think that's the biggest thing.
That's number one. And amongst other things, like you mentioned earlier, so because we have extra dollars now that we don't have to pay the mortgage, we're able to allocate it different things.
Yeah.
So part of it was, paying off other debt that we have, right? We have a couple investment properties that we have invested in, and there's, stuff in there. So we're able to contribute there a little more. We've been able to invest that money as well, right? The leftover is put into different investments.
Our investment rate has been able to go higher.
Yeah.
Right. So the idea is that we've reallocated those funds to prioritize certain things. So you're right. So give you just get an idea like that when you're investing, depending on how you structure your investments, if you've borrowed against with us, and very common, we borrowed with our HELOC, which is a home equity line of credit, which is a line of credit that's attached with your house as collateral. So the idea for us was like, well, that's a high interest rate environment. Let's pay it down.
Mhm.
So that's the idea of why we said, well, we don't have our mortgage payment now. Why don't we use that towards paying off the debt that's higher interest? Because you ultimately save that money instantly. It's instant return there. And yeah, just piggybacking off your conversation there too is just like not just investments, but building cash reserves too.
Mhm.
Like cash is king in some of these environments with high interest rates. People argue like, oh, cash is trash and you can't do it. But I think we've been talking about it for almost 2 years, where it was like the liquidity when liquidity dries up, it's like you don't have opportunity to buy anything.
Yeah.
And cash keeps you afloat in tough times if you run into liquidity problems. And we all know how many problems people are having, especially investors, when all of a sudden the liquidity dries up and they don't have credit, or they're maxed out in their loans. They're like, well, I don't have cash. I don't have cash. I don't have credit. I don't have loans.
Yep.
What the fuck you have? You got nothing
Yep.
now.
Yep.
So that helps pay off some of
Mhm.
that debt burden, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Um, I mean, some of the conveniences are like, even though we stress in terms of like eating out and stuff, it's allowed us to go enjoy a few different things.
Yep.
Um, knowing that like it's not saying that we go out and eat all the time, but we do make it a point where it's like every Friday or whatever, every Saturday we don't eat, we don't cook. It's always
Yeah.
been like that, but it makes it easier to kind of
Mhm.
go and enjoy that.
I think what's important, yeah, you know, we go out to dinner with our family
Hmm.
or friends. We've put in some additional money into our kids' activities because they're getting older and they want to do more stuff. But overall, I don't think, and what's the message here? Overall, just because we've have one less payment, our complete lifestyle hasn't changed.
Yeah.
It's not like we go ahead and like double the expenses that we've had before because we're able to do that. If anything, it's just the investments have gone up versus keeping the investments the same and spending more money, right? From that ratio point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. Like the idea of lifestyle creep has not taken over.
Mm-hmm.
So it, the whole point is that if just because you have the extra funds doesn't mean you should go double your lifestyle,
Yeah.
because that's how you actually put yourself back into debt very quickly.
Yeah.
And you're just back to square one, but
Yep.
back to where the system wants you to be.
Yep.
So
I think our background helps too. We're just cheap
just
people.
so true.
kudos to our parents for raising us to be.
Thank you.
It's just not. Thank you, mom and dad.
Thank you, cheap Asian
I
mom and
know
dad.
it's in our blood. We just can't. So
Listen,
difficult. It's true though.
yeah.
It's
Okay.
instilled like in our brain. It's like so hard sometimes to spend more money.
Even if you're not Chinese or Asian, if you're of any immigrant background, like anyone, I gotta name all of them. Okay, European, Indian, Jewish, whatever it is. Like it's like exactly your family's cheap too. Okay,
Yeah.
we always joke. It's like the Russell Peters joke, right? So we're always every immigrant is fighting for the cheapest. Whoever's the cheapest champ. Like I want to
Yeah.
be the cheapest.
No matter how much money they have,
Yeah,
it's
it's cheap. But part of having extra funds not allocated to your mortgage does provide some additional conveniences.
yeah.
So whether you want to go and spend it on something that's for you as a convenience now, whether let's say it's takeout, Uber Eats, eating out, cleaner, like hiring a cleaner, hiring someone to do your lawn, whatever, your laundry, I don't know, like, but the funds allow for conveniences. And that's a big thing where I hear about when you reach a certain threshold of income to your expenses. Ultimately the idea is that you're now trading those funds for conveniences.
Mhm.
It helps make your life more convenient.
I also want to caveat though, like you want to make sure when you do that, you're able to still go back to remove those conveniences
Hmm.
when something comes up.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because it's hard. Like
Yeah.
if you're used to someone cleaning your house, cooking for you, all of a sudden, for a reason, they can't come. whether you can't pay them, they're unavailable, whatever. Can you go back?
That's true. Right? And life circumstances change, and that's why
Yeah.
it's important so that you kind of understand, like you don't start reallocating and distributing all those funds to all these conveniences when if shit hits the fan, you're like, uh-oh, how do I
How do I do that again?
how do I turn the laundry machine on? This is no shade at throwing at anyone that doesn't know how to do their laundry. But if you don't know how to do your laundry, seriously, you need to learn. Sorry, you're just saying the truth. Um, and you know what? Like the thing of it is, it's just kind of helped us redesign our lifestyle because we look at things a bit differently. We're able to look at things a little bit differently. Not in the sense of like, you know, like you said, being extravagant. But give you an example, it's where now, you know, because you have one less significant payment that is ultimately a high risk. It's pretty risky. I mean, think about it. If you lost your job or I lost my job, or if you guys are listening and you own a principal residence, if you lose your job, what's the first thing you're thinking about?
Your mortgage.
Your
It's
mortgage.
biggest expense.
Right. So with that being gone now, you know, it allows us to explore some entrepreneurial ventures to take on a little bit more risk where before maybe, you know, we would have looked at it a bit differently because you have a roof to pay for and also mouths to feed and house, right? It's
Hmm.
not like we can just all of a sudden stop paying our mortgage, be like a tenant in Ontario, and you know just coast around because the bank's going to seize your house.
Yeah.
So, you know, the idea is that, you know, we can take some chances and we're looking to a lot of opportunities like that now. And hey, listen, you don't have a mortgage to pay, it gives you that flexibility.
Yep, for sure.
Um, one thing that I put on my list this year was to give back more. So, you know, the last thing on my list in terms of what it's done is that, you know, I like to give back more, and it's something that we are personally working on to get better. Because now that you have some excessive funds, it's like, okay, well, you know what? Listen, don't get me wrong. I'm always going to focus on my family first, and if someone always comes up to us and is in need, of course, I'm going to help
Hmm.
them. But now it makes it a lot easier,
Yep.
right? To give the causes that we feel are aligned to our values and aligned to kind of our
Yep.
story
Yep.
and where we feel like we want to put that towards. So, um, hey, you know what's interesting? So when I was doing research for this, in the States, it's pretty popular. There's this thing called a mortgage burning party.
What's that?
So they just basically take their mortgage papers or whatever and they burn it in the last payment and
Interesting.
they just create a celebration out of it.
The only time I burned paper was unrelated in Australia at the end of my semester, and we actually burned all our notebooks,
Damn, that's a lot of money up in the air.
class notes. Yeah. Anyways, but it sounds very familiar. I guess I get the concept,
Yeah.
except we don't have any mortgage statements. They're all
Yeah, it's
online.
all
Do we
digital.
print them?
Yeah, the only time I burned paper is actually when we went to the temples and
Oh, fake
fake money,
cash.
fake cash. So if anyone's listening and doesn't understand what we're saying, is that in Asian culture, it's like it's very popular to go to these like Buddhist temples,
Yeah.
and you have basically stacks of fake cash called dead money,
Mhm.
and you see the denominations like $1 million bills, $10 million bills, and you throw them into the fire. And the idea is that you're
So they have money when they're in
you're sending money to your loved ones that
deceased
have
relatives.
deceased.
Yeah.
Yeah, but apparently that's a no no now because of environmental concerns. But so no mortgage, probably no mortgage burning party in
Hmm.
that sense.
Yeah,
But
we didn't really have we didn't really celebrate, to be honest.
yeah, I know
Anyways,
we should. But quickly here,
so
let's
yeah, so we wanted to share like some of the things that we did to help us get to where we are now from paying off our mortgage standpoint.
yeah, and you know the times have obviously changed, right? So when we first give some background, we've been in this house for about 13 years, so 12 years, 12.
Yeah, we closed in 2012.
Yeah, so just approaching 12 years, 11 and a half years, right? So um obviously the house prices have changed, mortgage rate environment has changed, the economic factors have changed. So it's just, you got to take it with a grain of salt, but I think the principles that we followed have helped us achieve being able to pay off our mortgage faster, and I think you can apply those as well. Obviously, you just got to tweak a few things here and
Mhm.
there. So, um, what do you think the first? Like, I think this is the most important. What was the first one?
Buying. Make sure you understand the purchase price and your income, your expenses, to be able to figure out what your actual budget is for a house.
So, paying within your, like, buying a house that's within your budget. Is that
Yeah.
what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And like for us, I mean, this wasn't technically our dream home when we bought it. You remember you joking? What was the thing you
The
said about
starter
this?
home.
No, no, no. What was the term you used? The exact term you used about this house when we first bought it?
Oh, it's like it's a 5-year home. And we've been here for 12,
Almost 12.
12 years now.
She's like, yeah, it's just a 5-year home.
It's a 5-year home.
Five-year home.
5 years and then we'll move
And I
again.
remember the whole time, I was like, what do you mean 5 years? Why? Like, how are you just thinking 5 years?
Yeah.
But yeah, the idea was it wasn't our dream home. And I think with HGTV and a lot of renovations being more commonplace now, people are seeing these spectacular homes being upgraded all the time, and they see that as it's been painting a picture that your first home should be your dream home, or it should be like, I don't know, pimped out, so to say.
Mm-hmm.
And don't get me wrong, I mean, if you can do it, go ahead. But for us, part of like we didn't do that is because it would have put us way over budget and potentially stretch us thin, or stretch us to a point where we would feel more uncomfortable like supporting higher mortgage payments.
Yeah. Yeah. So our mortgage payment, we bought within a very, in a budget that was well within our means. And our mortgage payment was no more than 50% of our total take home pay. Right. So that allowed us to pay for other things, save money, invest, things like that. And ultimately that number was not a huge number.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, because you have other expenses, right? Property tax, utilities, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And we also, so the way we calculated, we assumed that our income would never increase. So that's actually how we projected. We projected that our income would never increase. And also, there was a time and period where we were like, okay, well, if we're planning on having kids, how does that actually impact our ability to pay off our to
Continue paying our
yeah,
mortgage.
paying our mortgage.
Yeah.
And if you're just on one income, depending on where you are, that's a significant, drawdown. You're like, oh, well, if I'm maxed to the tits on this and I don't have enough money to pay, or it just significantly hampers your ability to pay, then you don't want to add all that stress.
Yep.
So,
and the other thing we did was we also put in, people might argue against me, but we put in 20%, more than 20% of our down payment.
More than
that.
Yeah.
Right. And people will say, like, why would you do that? Why would you not just put in the minimum? Could be 5, could be 20, just to, avoid the home insurance. But for us, that helped us decrease our mortgage payments, our monthly mortgage payments. Right.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, prior to this, we didn't know, I'm going to call it advanced real estate investing strategies. We didn't know what the Burr method was. We didn't know what the whole house hacking was. Like, we didn't know that that's something you could do. So
Mhm.
I think part of it was just ignorance.
Yeah.
I don't call it ignorance. We just didn't know.
Mhm.
Right. And for us, we understood that our ability to meet certain mortgage payments, like we mapped it out so that we felt comfortable with X mortgage payment. Call it, I don't know, you want to call it $2,000, $3,000, whatever it is. We wanted to be able to pay this monthly every single day, a month. So then by adjusting our down payment, it helped us achieve that. So for us, that's just kind of how we felt comfortable doing that. Now that there's so many strategies available, I think, if we come back to reality, like this kind of economic time frame, that might not be feasible.
Well, no, because houses are $1 million
Yeah.
versus, we bought ours for 400.
400 and change, right?
Yeah, it's a big difference, right? So meeting 20% on $1 million is different meeting 20% on 400,000.
Yeah.
Huge difference.
Yeah, you're pretty much buying half our house as a down payment for your house.
So not only do we put a big down payment, but we also typically your amortization period when you calculate your monthly mortgages are 25 years.
Yep.
We decided to not do that. And also, taking into account to what we could afford on a monthly basis, we decreased that. Actually, we signed a 14-year amortization when we first signed on the mortgage.
So was it 16?
No, 14.
Oh yeah. Okay. Right. That's right. Yeah. Yep.
It's 14. Yeah, 14-year amortization.
So okay. So part of that is that because the reason why we did that is, I mean, you could argue why didn't we stretch it out to the full 30 years?
Mhm.
Well, part of it is we just want to pay off the mortgage faster.
Yep.
We've always been very we've been in the mindset of like we like to pay down our debt faster because ultimately debt is what holds you back from being able to retire. Right now, let's not. I'm not going to argue into the whole conversation of like that, right? Of keeping your payments on forever or whatever. But the idea of shortening it, just like with any loan, it makes you commit to actually paying it off faster,
Mhm.
right? Because you put yourself now into an ability to pay it off faster rather than if you have 30 years, there's no incentive for you to pay it off faster, like from a psychological perspective. But if you've actually compressed the time frame and made it shorter, well, now worst case scenario, if we just made the minimum payments monthly, we paid off in 14 years, not
Yep.
30.
Yep.
And that's not even including any of the things that, additional payments on top. What do they call it? The top up?
Mhm.
The top up? No. Or double up payments.
Double up payments or top up at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Or once a year, sorry.
Exactly. Which
we also did.
Right? And was there a better investment opportunity?
Probably.
Right? But like I said, it's not something that we were focused on saying that, oh, we can get a better percentage over here.
Mhm.
Because we knew that actually it was helping our long-term goal, right, of doing that. And, here's a strategy we did. So as part of our investing our portfolio and all that, after, investing with your RSPs or your TFSAs or all that stuff, and part of the employer plans that you get, we got a tax refund back. So every year we would take that lump sum tax refund, and big part of it was drop it into the mortgage.
Mhm.
And then, diversify some of that into other things. So the idea is we weren't taking the tax refund and just spending it. We were compounding. That's the whole idea of getting a tax refund. You compound that back into investment.
Yeah. And we did that aggressively for, I would say, the first 3 years.
Yeah.
Most mortgages will allow you to put in, I think it's like 15,000 or 20,000. It's a max. I remember what the number is.
We didn't do the max. We didn't do the max,
but it was close. And that ultimately shaved off 3 years, right? So like I mentioned earlier, we signed a 14-year amortization and we paid it off
3.5 years.
3.5 years. We paid it off in 2023 and we closed the house in 2012. Sorry, 2012.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah, I mean,
11 years. It went down to 14 to 11 years.
Yeah, if we think about the interest we saved, it's pretty big.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a high 5-digit number we saved. So
yeah.
And then I mean, this is kind of controversial too. It might not be realistic, but I've always been very. I guess I look at it from the upside here in terms of how far you can stretch and how far you're willing to sacrifice early on, so that you can put yourself in a position where people aren't willing to do that, right? Which is, we lived off 50% of our income before kids. It's just me and you in this house. What other expenses did we have? Not much.
LCBO.
Geez, that was actually pretty big.
We were so excited when LCBO opened around the corner.
Jen, guess what? Guess what they're building? I saw the plans.
I saw the plans of the plaza around the corner. But no, in all seriousness, yeah, like, I mean, our expenses were pretty much going out, right? We didn't have kids at that time. So it's just, regular groceries and the clothes that we wear, and entertainment funds was kind of our main buckets.
Yeah, I go back to the whole thing, living within your current means, right? And the idea here is that, like, yes, as your income goes up, as you make strategic investments, as certain things, dominoes fall into place, obviously you're going to go enjoy some more conveniences in life, right? There's a whole idea of your idea of rich is not to just be cheap the rest of your life and say, oh, you know what, hey, I'm able to enjoy it like this. Well, if you do, great. But our idea is that you live within your current means and then you plan for your future means,
Mhm.
right? But lifestyle creep is a big thing. And if you continue to spend more than you make, you're never going to be able to accomplish any of that future stuff. So for us, we felt being able to save aggressively. And when I say save, it means that we didn't spend half our income. And that income didn't just go to savings, it went to specific strategic investments, right? Paying down your mortgage is a strategic investment. Okay. Like it's one of the things that you're trying to invest in. So
So knowing what you know now, do you think it was worth it for us to pay down our mortgage
oh fuck yeah.
quickly?
Hell yeah.
Why is that?
It comes back to the number one thing, this psychological factor.
Mm-hmm.
You know, being able to sleep at night knowing that I don't have to owe another single fucking dollar to the bank.
Yeah.
I sleep like a baby.
Do you really?
Well, no.
Until
Now
your kids wake you
fucking
up.
kids wake me up with stigmata, bloody nose, or like puking in the bed.
Yeah, I think I'm in agreement with that too. Like, I think if I were to do it again, I would probably do the same. Having that off, like having that weight off our shoulders, I think allows us to make different types of investments. Even like you said, riskier ones, because knowing that that is one bill we don't have to worry about.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. Yeah, it's just, there's a peace quotient, right? Like the master investor says, peace quotient is the ultimate thing that everyone should be after.
Yeah,
Stress is a huge killer in your life, man. And
for
this
sure.
is one less stress on my life.
Less wrinkles, less white hairs.
Ugh. I don't know, man. I'd argue that kids actually put more wrinkles and white your hair faster.
But then you would have more if you had this as well.
Oh, this is true. But there's just for men.
Sure. Anywho,
Yeah.
that's what we wanted to share today. Just you know, something that we didn't share for a full year because I don't know, we just didn't. So here we are sharing it with you.
Yeah, and the whole idea here is when we thought about this is like, you know, we felt compelled now to share because of obviously of, you know, we started Your Everyday Rich so that we could inspire, educate, and, you know, empower you guys to hear our story, but hear other stories like this so that you're like, hey, maybe you are on your way to actually paying off your mortgage.
Mhm.
And you're like, oh, okay, right? Or you're thinking about, okay, how do I pay off my mortgage? Or maybe you don't have a mortgage. Maybe you've already paid it off and you feel the same boat. You're like, I don't know who to share it with because everyone's going to look down on me like, well, I'm better than them. But you know what? Fuck those people. You know why? Because
It's something you should celebrate.
yeah, you should celebrate. This is a prideful moment. You should be proud of yourself from being able to accomplish that, and no one can take that away from you.
Yeah.
And I want to clap for if you guys have ever paid, if you paid off your mortgage or you're in a position like
Good
us.
for you.
Yeah, like
Kudos to you.
kudos to you, man. Right? And don't worry about what other people would say to you about, oh, this would have been a better investment or blah blah blah. Like I said, get to sleep at night
Like a baby.
like a baby. Anyways, listen, I appreciate you guys listening. Jen and I have always said this. You know, we won't ask for anything other than, you know, just share the message with other people. If you feel like this has resonated with you, we have these couch conversations like this, and we just feel that, you know, not enough people talk about them. And, you know, hopefully you get to hear these kind of stories from us and, you know, the guests we interview. Leave us a review. Could you help us do that? Like, I'm just help us leave a review. Write a review for us. Like, seriously, say like, this was nice or this sucked. I don't know. Just do it. Pay the fee, man. But we're not going to pay your mortgage for you. Sorry.
Got to figure that yourself.
Exactly. But hopefully this helps you, right? So,
All right.
all right then.
Signing off.
All right. Appreciate everyone. We'll talk later.
See ya.
Peace.
Your Everyday Rich podcast is presented solely for general informational, educational, and entertainment purposes. Any such information or other material should not be construed as legal, tax, investment, financial, or other advice. It is not intended as a substitute for the advice of a qualified professional.